and welcome to the Newshour agenda. Madhadas Gopalakrishna. It's been 7 months since suspended BJP leader Nupur Sharma commented on the prophet, and that sparked a huge controversy. Ever since, she's constantly been at the receiving end of death threats, and now the situation has come to such a pass that she was forced to secure a gun license, facing charges of inciting communal hatred and insulting religious sentiments. It is of course nobody's case that the judicial process must not take its course, but such has been the outpouring of visceral hate against her that according to sources in the Delhi police, Nupur has said that the threats to life are now directed towards her family as well. What happened today can only be seen as an outcome of a long-standing sword hanging over Nupur Sharma's head, with frequent open calls seeking her beheading. Even the Supreme Court took cognizance of the threat to her life, and she's been provided a security cover by Delhi police since June. The threat being cited by the former BJP spokesperson is very real, and here's why. At least 2 people have been murdered just for supporting Nupur publicly. Kanhaiya Lal in Rajasthan and Umesh Kole were brutally killed just for an expression of their opinion. And then follows a long list of those issuing public death threats, starting from a man in Bareilly who made a video to multiple rallies where participants could be heard chanting in fact Sartan Sajda with impunity. Even prominent politicians like AIM MP Imtiaz Jaleel called for a public hanging of Nupur Sharma. Several critics were seen exhorting their followers, offering bounty on Nupur Sharma's head. Instances that collectively lead one to ask, is there any reason to oppose the shield sought by a hounded and harangued woman? So while the police may have done their due diligence and threat assessment before granting a license, the ecosystem that did not utter a peep when bloodthirsty critics were openly baying for her blood is now seeing red over a hounded woman seeking safety.
केंद्र सरकार ने पहले से ही नुपुर शर्मा जी को सिक्योरिटी या सुरक्षा, अतिरिक्त सुरक्षा मुहैया कराई हुई। तो क्या भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो राष्ट्रीय प्रवक्ता नुपुर शर्मा जी हैं, उनको क्या केंद्र सरकार द्वारा दी गई सुरक्षा में विश्वास नहीं है?
This new India, we'll all need a gun license. So this also shows that under Mr. Modi's governance, ordinary people like you and me will soon need a gun license.
और ऐसे लोग जो समाज के अंदर उसकी एकता को तोड़ते हैं, उसके अंदर जो सदाशयता है उसको तोड़ते हैं, उन्हें क्या अधिकार है कि उन्हें हथियारों के लाइसेंस दिए जाए?
We are asking a simple question: why is she not yet arrested? There are so many FIRs filed against her, but still she is outside, and I won't be surprised if tomorrow the BJP gives her some lucrative post as a gift.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
With us is Ratan Sharda, author, advocate Tala Rashid, is the spokesperson of the Rashtriya Ulema Council. Also with us at the moment is Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar. But let me first and foremost go across to Sushil Pandit, activist, who's with us. Sushil Pandit, you know, we're hearing these political voices, even on a day when Nupur Sharma, the threats have not eased by any stretch of anyone's imagination. And I'm not even going to get into the comments that she has made in the first place. But the point is that as a citizen, as somebody who has subjected herself before law, she has approached the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has granted, any kind of blanket coercive action not be taken against her. At a time like this, when there are threats coming in, when she has obtained a gun license, why is it that we still see mainstream political leaders, these aren't fringe elements, these are leaders of mainstream political parties, whether regional or national, who are coming out to even oppose this measure of security? What explains this in your view, Sushil Pandit?
I think it is visceral hatred for a lady. Instead of sympathizing with her, instead of being critical of those who have mounted a vicious attack on her and called for her beheading, I haven't seen these people criticizing those who want her dead. Instead, they are resenting, they are opposing her right to self-defense. I would like to know why. Only reason I see here is because as much as those who have called for her death, even these people want to see her dead. There can be no other conclusion. If you leave a person defenseless, not even with a fighting chance to survive against marauding hordes, then What else can you conclude? Yes, there is security by Delhi police, but why should she be entirely dependent on Delhi police who are guarding her? She should also have recourse to some defense. Why not? Aren't the gun licenses given to those who have a credible death threat? Is this the only case, the first case? There are hundreds and thousands of licenses given all over the country to those who fear for their life. And here there is no disputing the fact that a vast number of people want to see her dead. So why resent her right to self-defense?
Let's get a response. Let's get a response to that. Advocate Tala Rashidi, number of points that have been made by Sushil Pandit. He says that this is not the first case. It is, something that's very much a provision within law, that the police and authorities do estimate the threat perception of an individual and then accord them with a weapon. And it has happened several times in the past. It's very much within the legal framework. Even such a move is criticized. And it's criticized because, at the end of the question that we are asking is that if in a democratic and civil society you believe that one death or wrong killing of an innocent is one too many, then in this particular case we've already seen evidence of not just the threats, but what kind of unfortunate incidents have taken place. So why even come out and oppose this? Advocate Tala Rashidi.
I would like to start this debate with this Urdu couplet which goes on like this. उसी का शहर वही मुद्दई वही मुंसिफ मुझे मालूम था कसूर मेरा ही निकलेगा. The problem here is that Nupur Sharma, who has been called by her party as a fringe element, who has been told officially by the Indian ministry that she is a fringe element, who has violated the constitution, who has broke the criminal law established by the constitution and by the Indian Penal Code, is being pampered, is being shielded by Delhi police, who is doing an investigation against her. She has multiple FIRs against her under 295A, which is a cognizable offence, under 153A of IPC, which is cognizable. Still she is roaming around freely. Now she is being provided with special security by the Delhi government on the proposal of the Home Ministry. She herself, after saying this, she said that she spoke to the top authorities of the Home Ministry and she is being supported by them, Home Ministry. The Supreme Court of India said that the way she has ignited emotions across the country, this lady single-handedly is responsible for what is happening in the country. She set the entire country on the fire. She has, set back the Indian diplomatic relations with various Arab countries globally. So she is a blot on the country. Still she is being shielded by the government.
One second. I don't want to get into a heated tutu. There are several hands going up. Mr. Rashadi, 1 second.
Let me complete.
I will allow you to complete, sir. Let me just make one simple point. I'm not cutting you short. I'm not cutting you short. Please let me ask you a simple question. You have made a number of points and I'm not disputing any of those facts, any of the points. For the sake of argument, if I assume everything you have said is absolutely 100% factually accurate, even that, does it allow for the kind of bloodthirsty hordes or mobs or death threats that she is being given openly, for them to go ahead and actually complete whatever they may be threatening to do or implement on ground, Mr. Tala Rashidi? Or do her rights as a citizen completely end because of the comments that she has made?
I condemned any act of violence or any act that is instigating violence. I clearly condemn it. Now the issue is that when you don't abide by the established law, these things will happen. This is what the Supreme Court was trying to quote. If she has faith in the constitution, she has faith in the law of the land, she should come forward and face the law.
Where is she not facing the law?
Authorities,
has she declined appearing before the court, sir?
Now the other thing is that, why
you're a lawyer.
Not yet been arrested?
Where has she violated the legal process in your view?
Multiple FIRs have been filed against her throughout the country, in Kolkata, in Mumbai, in Delhi, in certain parts of the country. Why has she yet not been arrested when the cases are cognizable? And as far I understand, it was It's been more than 6 months.
Okay.
Why has no charge sheet yet been filed? Or if
Okay.
a charge sheet has been filed, has she been summoned?
Let
Has
Mr.
she
Ratan
been
Sharda
summoned?
come in on
Has
that.
she
All
been
right.
wanted?
Okay.
Now the last point.
Okay. No, let's go one by one. We have time. Please, we have time, Mr. We have time. Mr. Rashadi, I have everyone. I want to bring in everyone on this debate. You've made a very important point. Let's get in a response, please. Ratan Sharda, the point being made by Mr. Rashadi is this, that he says that she's being mollycoddled by the police. The same police which is supposed to be investigating her has been tasked with protecting her. And his allegation, if I've got it right, appears to be that the law is going very soft on Nupur Sharma when she has violated the law. That is his allegation.
First of all, he begins his argument by playing the victimhood card. And then he goes on to accuse Nupur Sharma of so many things. My first question is, did they raise a Sarpanch Juta against Zakir Naik, who says the same thing exactly what Nupur Sharma said? No. He's grinning here. I'm very sorry that he's grinning here. Secondly, he keeps on talking of Supreme Court. The same Supreme Court clubbed her cases, please now can you keep quiet? I didn't disturb you.
Mr. Rashadi, nobody stopped you, please.
It's
Please,
a very
let's
serious
have a
matter.
civilized debate. It's a very sensitive
debate.
issue. I don't want a shouting match on this debate. Let's please listen to each other and respect each other's opinions. I'm going to give everybody a chance. There is time.
There are so many affairs which clearly shows that she was victimized. She was made to go through that extreme pain by putting so many affairs. Supreme Court clubbed the FIR, stopped any coercive action, and still is calling for her punishment. Which law is she violated as the Supreme Court? Nothing so far. And to claim that what she said is a crime because are we living in a Talibani land? Are we living under Sharia that he has already declared her a violator of the law? And then finally, if they are talking so much of law, why this gentleman called this MIM MP not being impeached and thrown out of Lok Sabha for asking for beheading, which clearly shows that he is not in favor of the constitutional law? Why should we ask for his disqualification from the law and he be charged with violating the law? And we have Sarpanch Juta at will. Has he ever condemned them? And thousands of people on the road. What should a lone lady do? She has been abandoned. She is living an isolated life. She is away from family, and she gets a gun, and you are all boiling up in your pants. Is this the way you should treat a lady? And have you ever talked about people who in the debate for days together created a ruckus, make joke of Indian gods, and you were grinning on the TV shows and nobody raised an objection? In that heated moment, somebody says something and you then create an atmosphere of hate. The person who creates atmosphere of hate, he comes out, he's treated as a celebrity. And the lady who said what Zakir Naik said becomes a victim of perennial lifelong abandonment, and these people are happy about that. They want not to get her again, so she should die.
Let me bring in Atikur Rahman. Atikur Rahman, people who are openly calling for these hangings, such as the MP who was just mentioned, from the MIM, no action has been taken on those individuals. People are issuing all sorts of threats, even publicly, known figures, clerics, you know the facts. You know the facts of this entire case. The point is that in such an atmosphere, and we also know, for instance, what happened in the United States to even someone like Salman Rushdie, 3.5 decades after he wrote that controversial book, Satanic Verses. So is the threat not something that is very real? Because that threat does not seem to be imaginary when it comes to such big global celebrities and writers such as Salman Rushdie.
Madhav, the Quran guarantees certain inviolable rights. And these inviolable rights means by birth, an individual, a human being, be him, her, a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, a Hindu, or anybody, inviolably they have the right to life, right to dignified life, right to speech, freedom of expression, everything which is basic to human values. Every cleric in India should immediately issue press statement that what Nupur Sharma said was not blasphemous, because blasphemy is not established in the Quran. And secondly, the Prophet stood for mercy, compassion and forgiveness, following in this sunnah on the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad. Every Muslim should declare Nupur Sharma, she is pardoned because she has apologize. And I urge the BJP government to revoke her suspension. Urge you, all the channels, get her back to the channels. Let her speak her mind on every issue under the sky. What is this nonsense going about, Madhav? An individual, a lady, in the constitution, under the protection of the constitution. I am not talking of any legalities. I, as a researcher on Islamic studies, say blasphemy is not established. What she said is pardonable. Prophet Muhammad pardoned her detractors, his detractors.
Well, let's get in a response. Very interesting to see that comment coming from Atikur Rahman. And before I go across to other panelists, I'm seeing your hand, Sushil Pandit. I want Tala Rashidi to respond to that. Tala Rashidi, you know, what we have here is Atikur Rahman saying something very different from what you were saying. He's saying forgive and forget, move on. This is not acceptable in our society, in Indian society. This certainly, this situation that Nupur Sharma is reduced to is not acceptable for any citizen.
You know, Mr. Atikur Rahman is being too much of a diplomatic. The question is that, you know, we are living in a democratic country that is being ruled by the constitution and by the established law of the nation. You know, as if this would have been an issue of me as an individual, I would have thought about pardoning her, or, you know, being that liberal the way Mr. Atikur Rahman is portraying himself. The question is that let me conclude. The question is that many people sitting on this panel, they want severe punishment to those people saying Sartan se juda, where they are only, you know, they are just saying these words. But you want me to forgive Ms. Nupur Sharma, who has violated a law, who has violated the constitution. I, as a individual, as a citizen of this nation, what I am demanding is not an Islamic context. It is in the context of the constitution of the country. I am saying that she should abide by the law.
Should the law not apply equally to everyone, sir? Can you say that it should only apply to Nupur Sharma, not to those who are threatening her?
Double standard. You want punishment for Sartan se juda gang, but you don't want punishment for Nupur Sharma. What I openly said that anyone who is instigating violence should be punished, and she should be Nupur Sharma, or she should.
Because the fundamental question remains the same. Does the fundamental question change, Sushil Pandey? The fundamental question remains the same. Can there be double standards?
Madhav, first of all, let me commend Atikur Rahman, because he has been consistent in his stand through these months about this not being a violation of any sorts, and even under Islamic jurisprudence, she should not be, the blasphemy is not established, and she should not be subjected to such threats. And this is heartening to hear. But I am happy you first went to the other panelists to respond, and that is where the crux is. Mr. Atikur Rahman is a microscopic minority in his community. Even among the Islamic scholars, he is a rare exception. The wide body of community that is speaking for the community at large is radicalized, is vehement, is extremely violent in its pursuit of Nupur Sharma. They have time and again bayed for her blood. So while I welcome and I feel happy about Atikur Rahman, I cannot be reassured. I cannot sit, I cannot believe that by his saying so, his compatriots would agree with him and let this be. No. So we have to take abundant caution.
All right. We have limited time, but I want to pose one question.
We have to prepare her,
I want to pose one question.
We have to prepare ourselves for the safety.
I want to pose one question. Ratan Sharda, very interesting that you mentioned Zakir Naik. But, you know, in India, so much was made out about the, issues that Qatar raised diplomatically in relation to the entire Nupur Sharma comments, perhaps justifiably so or perhaps not. But many questions are being raised that when Zakir Naik visits Qatar during the Football World Cup, why is India then not able to make its own point or articulate its own point in a similar vein? Because India has some very serious issues and concerns in relation to this individual which are very well known, and you know that very well.
if I answer on that, that would be debating for the debate. It's a question that government of India or BJP spokesperson should speak of. First of all, we should have been bullied by small miniature Middle East states, and why should our people be clapping on that? Indian Muslim people like Tala should be ashamed that outside forces are trying to create dissension in India. He says that Sartan Se Juda and Nupur Sharma arguments are same.
Yes,
Nupur Sharma said, which is part of Hadith, and Sartan Se Juda is clear violation of constitution where you want the person to be killed because he doesn't go for what is supposed to be Islamic law, which Atiku clearly says does not. So on one side you are justifying the violent reaction of people which is against the constitution. Other side you are also opposing Nupur Sharma who made an argument which is in the constitutional framework. If somebody got violated, they went to court, that should have been final. But even after the court, there are thousands of threats that she had received, and these people are quiet on that. And today they are trying to raise the flag that she should be left open to die.
All right. Quick closing comments from Atikur Rahman. We have almost out of time. Atikur Rahman, quick 30 seconds. You know, you were called a microscopic minority by Mr. Sushil Pandit. Do you feel that it is time, and what would your larger appeal be to individual? Because this is an issue that has, you know, exercised a lot of people. There has to be some closure in this, or this was something that is unfortunately going to continue for years to come, months to come, at least the way in which it's going, the way passions are being inflamed by various, all sorts of vested interests. I'm not even going to name anyone. We saw several of them speaking. What would your appeal to all of them be, Mr. Atikur Rahman?
Madhav, this is a very pinching, reality what Ratan Shahda ji pointed out, and even Sushil Pandit ji, that I am a microscopic minority, but where is the support to people like me? There is no support, Madhav. Whenever we talk of this kind of liberal attitude and the Quranic concepts, we are not heard. Sir Sushil, you should portray what exactly the Quran says. Allama Yusuf Ali says how he interprets the Quran. What day in and day out, Madhav, is done is the terrorist version of the Quran is portrayed on the television sets.
Okay.
Not the liberal Quran, not the compassion of the Prophet, not the mercy of the Prophet.
Well, certainly
we need your support. The entire society
are you out of your mind? What do you mean by terrorist version of Quran? Mr. Atikur Rahman, I have severe objection to your point of view. What do you mean by terrorist version of Quran? What version is that? Are you insane? Are you in your mind?
Sir, all he is saying that those who believe in violence, those who believe in violence, their version or their thoughts are amplified. What he is saying,
so he should be
not making any insult to any.
Which is what he should know what he is choosing and what he is speaking.
Okay, I think as a scholar, he has every right to his opinion. You may not agree with him, Mr. Rashidi. All he is trying to say is that those who are extremists, their views are amplified. We are going to end the debate over here, and let's be very, very clear that all we are talking about is that the rule of law apply evenly for all citizens. Nobody is going to justify once again whatever comments may have been made by Nupur Sharma, but as a citizen, does she deserve the rule of law to apply to her as well, whatever may have been the comments that have been made by her. We'll have to leave it there for the moment. I'd like to thank Advocate Tala Rashidi and Atikur Rahman for joining us on debate number 1 on the Newshour television.